For most of our region, we are very well aware that Sunday night, Monday morning, about 1 a.m., the Sheriff's Office initiated a Amber Alert following the reported abduction of, parental abduction of a child here in Carson City. Very quickly, early on, we were able to determine that the suspect was the father. He had been in the area throughout the weekend. He is or was on parole out of the state of Oregon, and according to preliminary information, was not authorized to be here in Carson or outside of the state. That information was followed up with interviews of the family. By midday Monday, or early Monday, we were able to, with the assistance of the U.S. Marshal Service and investigators or detectives at the Sheriff's Office, we were able to set up indirect communications with the suspect, who did admit that he did have the child. Unfortunately, there was some level of resistance to turning the child back in, which did heighten our concerns for the welfare of the 5-year-old. Continued efforts went on throughout the day. When the suspect his location was identified as being in Southern California, through the U.S. Marshal Service, we were able to get feet on the ground. An opportune period arose when the child and an innocent bystander, if you will, were segregated away from the suspect, and so the child and the adult female were addressed separately. Once the child was in our custody, we were able to, the Marshal Service was able to make contact with the suspect, who relinquished himself right there on the spot without any incident or injury. The process is, gosh, come on up here. This is Detective Pendragon. That was one of the challenges. It has been many, many years since we have initiated an Amber Alert through Carson. There are practices and policies in place. It does go through the media. We have a detailed, this is how it's done, but when you haven't done something for 8 years, it becomes a challenge.
It does. Part of the challenges is, thank you. Part of the challenges is when we come up to do an Amber Alert, we have to also confirm information. So once we're able to verify factual information, we have to send that up through our own vetting process to make sure it is correct. Then we then forward it off to the state, who goes through their chain of command to issue it up through all the programs and systems in place to get the Amber Alert issued. Unfortunately, it's not something that is instantaneous in the issuance, but it does take a little bit of process, a lot of different hands it has to go through, because it's a very important step of getting the correct information out there and also notifying everybody of the right info. With this one, we had all the West Coast that was notified of this alert. And it's one of those, when we go to issue these Amber Alerts, it's also very similar to a Silver Alert. Process is similar, but all the steps, it's very important to get that information factual. We always rush to get it in a timely manner, but we also want to make sure that it's correct information too. Because the information that we put out there can cause people to call in correct or incorrect concerns, puts everybody at risk. So we want to make sure that we have the right info out. So with information that we have available, when the time when it was reported to us, we were able to look at flock and traffic cameras to kind of figure out what vehicles they actually in, direction of travel. We're also getting information on phone numbers, social media, things like that, to figure out where this guy's going. Once we're able to start checking a few different things, we have multiple items to start matching up, gives us a little bit more accurate detail. Is he going north up, back up to Oregon? Is he actually going south? Is this actually his phone, or did he hand it to somebody else? So those are those things that we work along the way. And additionally, as we get more tips that come in, the Amber Alert was very beneficial, because as people were seen the information, they would let us know, hey, this might be possible, this might be possible. Any tips that come in, we also fact check those as well, and when things start matching, that's what really helps out, guide our focus. And in this case, several tips did line up with what we already had, and we were able to hone in our investigation, which kind of provided a rapid result. Once we were able to get instantaneous boots on the ground, eyes at certain locations, property, when we were able to find the innocent bystander and the child, that was all on them. They had a wonderful response time, and because of the expediency of that, so it makes a big difference. You never know in these cases when information goes out there, this guy gets tipped off, he gets spooked, and before you know it, he's now leaving a location that we thought he was at, and now the search starts all over again.
Her mother yet.
The child was not harmed and has been successfully reunited with her mother.
And also just, they wanted me to ask about, like, because she was found obviously without the father, she was with the innocent bystander. Was there any more information just on how that happened?
They were in a nearby area, so I wasn't down there present at the location, but with the eyes that were in the area, very close distance, so the marshals would have to provide further information on that, but they were very nearby, within like a minute or two of each other.
A couple of things, because it does play into what she has suggested. The success of this operation, from my perspective, rests totally on the U.S. Marshals Service. When we integrate our resources together and our platforms of information, our outreach through medias and such, receiving tips from the public, that's what drives an investigation to a successful conclusion. With time, this investigation, the platform for it was put in place, very organized, drawing in multiple agencies, actually from 3 states, if you will, because we still have the Oregon connection, and all of these different law enforcement entities and organizations were feeding the investigative steps that were taking place here. That's very, very important. That public outreach and that information back that assists us in getting to the successful resolutions in the quickest manner as possible.
Saying, and the detectives saying, and everybody else, I'm Gary Schofield, SCHOFIELD. I'm the United States Marshal for Nevada. So within Nevada, just our partnerships along with the Marshal Service, we have 23 different agencies that work with us on any given day. So the Marshals nationwide and internationally, we are the agency that is responsible at the federal level for coordination on fugitives, which we're well known for, judicial security, a lot of those types of things. But we also have missing and endangered children. So that is part of our mandate that's been given to us. We enforce the Adam Walsh Act. So what happens on this is partnerships that I enjoy here, being a lifelong Nevadan pretty much since the 1960s and a long-time law enforcement official in the state. We tap into that so that they don't have to recreate the wheel. So the question was asked by one of the reporters about, do you send Carson City sheriffs down to Los Angeles? And the answer is no, you don't. The reason is that's a lot of resources. You don't know the lay of the land. We have deputy U.S. Marshals that are down there. In LA County alone, there's over 43, possibly more, different jurisdictions that work with the Marshals, along with all our federal counterparts. So HSI was part of this, LA County Sheriffs. There's a variety of different agencies, too many to list here, but we thank them all. But it's part of a whole of nation approach. We're also the agency that handles all international fugitives as well. We are the agency that handles Interpol. So it really starts with boots on the ground at the local level, all the way to the deputy sheriff that responded out in the nighttime to talk to an anguished mom, like, where's my daughter? All the way to a whole group of people coming together that don't know each other to make sure that this young child is recovered and reunited with their family. So that's on every day that a lot of people don't see within our country, but it's a testament to what we do as law enforcement.
Is it common for parental kidnappings to result in an Amber Alert, or is it just because he was on parole and considered dangerous?
What the detective sort of talked about was there's a series of screenings that occur. The National Center for Exploiting Missing Children, Amber Alert, and those things. So you simply can't phone up somebody and go, I want an Amber Alert. So there's an extensive amount of vetting that will work its way through the court system, so I'm not gonna talk about all that, that led seasoned detectives and an agency to go, you know, this makes my hair stand up. And that's why suddenly everybody's getting woken up in the middle of the night and there's things all over billboards looking for the vehicle. So that's the benefit of that. On the same time, we don't want to turn Amber Alert into every day you see something, then after a while nobody pays attention to it. So it really relies on what the agency that is the primary investigative agency at the very start and making the right call to call the marshals to be involved. There are a lot of missing kids throughout this country, and we'd love for everyone to be recovered, but the reality is it's a process with resources that are out there and a system that's set up.
That'll do it.
Yeah, is there anything else you guys?
How these investigations begin often dictate how they're going to end. When they come in organized, well communicated, everybody understands everybody's role and responsibility, they become very effective and efficient investigations. And I think that that is the key attribute that we saw yesterday that resulted in a very, very quick resolution. Thank you.